Hey guys! Today I'll be going over an SAT reading excerpt and the associated problems with. Let's get into reading the entire passage. No man likes to acknowledge that he has made a mistake in the choice of his profession, and every man, worthy of the name, will row long against the wind and tide before he allows himself to cry out, "I am baffled," and submits to be floated passively back to land. From the first week of my residence in X, I felt my occupation irksome. The thing is, the work of copying and translating business letters was dry and tedious task enough, but had been all I should have long have borne with a nuisance. I am not of an impatient nature, and influenced by the double desire of getting my living and justifying myself others the resolution I had taken to become a tradesman, I should have endured in silence the rust and cramp of my best faculties. I should have whispered, even inwardly, that I longed for liberty. I should have pent in every sigh by which my heart might have ventured to intimate its distress under the closeness, smoke, monotony, and joyless tumult of Big Ben Close, and his panting desire for freer and fresher scenes. I should have set up the image of duty, the fetish of perseverance, in the small bedroom at Mrs. King's lodgings, and they too should have been my household gods, from which my darling, cherished in secret imagination, the tender and mighty, should never, either by softness or strength, have severed me. But this was not all. The antipathy which is strung up between myself and my employer, striking deeper root and spreading denser shaded daily, excluded me from every glimpse of the sunshine of life, and I began to feel like a plant growing in humid darkness out of the slimy walls of a well. Antipathy is the only word that can express the feeling Edward Crimsworth had for me. A feeling, in great measure, involuntary, and which was liable to be excited by the most trifling movement, look, or word of mine. My southern accent annoyed him, the degree of education evinced in my language irritated him, my punctuality, industry, accuracy fixed his dislike, and gave it the high flavour and poignant relish of envy. He feared that I too should one day make a successful tradesman. Had I been in anything inferior to him, he would not have hated me so thoroughly. I knew all that he knew, and what was worse, he suspected I kept the padlock of science on mental wealth in which he was no sharer. If he could have once placed me in a ridiculous and mortifying position, he would have forgiven me much, but I was guarded by three faculties: caution, tact, observation, and prying as was Edward's malignity, it could never baffle the lynx eyes of these, my natural sentinels. Day by day did his malice watch my tact, hoping it would sleep, prepared to steal snake-like on its slumber. But tact, if it be genuine, never sleeps. I had received my first quarter's wages, and was returning to my lodgings, possessed heart and soul with a pleasant feeling that the master who had paid me grudged every penny of that hard-earned pittance. I had long ceased to regard Mr. Crimsworth as my brother. He was a hard grinding master. He wished me an inexorable tyrant. That was all. Thoughts, not varied but strong, occupied my mind. Two voices spoke within me. Again and again they uttered the same monotonous phrases. One said, "William, your life is intolerable." The other, "What can you do to alter it?" I walked fast, for it was a cold, frosty night January. As I approached my lodgings, I turned from general view of my affairs to the particular speculation as to whether my fire would be out. Looking towards the window of my sitting room, I saw no cheering red gleam. So that's the passage. As you might have noticed, I was maybe stopping my reading a little, making little underlines and little section plots. Why did I do this? So it's always a good strategy when you're reading this any passage. In fact, mark it up a little. Take little notes. It's not enough time to take notes on the SAT, obviously, but just keeping up behind your head, maybe some things that you found maybe a little important. The more practice you do, the more things you'll realize might be important in the questions. And when you go back to your questions, uh, you'll find exact things that maybe you've highlighted. Also, this also promotes more active reading. So when you read, you're forcing yourself to think about what you're reading, and that will also help a lot with the questions. Now, let's go straight into the questions, shall we? Okay, question 1. Which choice best summarizes the passage? So this is a summary question. So kind of what is this passage even talking about? What did you even get it? This is maybe good to read maybe the beginning, the end, really quickly skim it. This is where skimming comes in really importantly. So which choice best summarizes the passage? A character describes his dislike for his new job and considers the reasons why. 2. B. Two characters employed in the same office became increasingly competitive. C. A young man regrets privately a choice that he defends publicly. And D. A new employee experiences optimism, then frustration, and finally despair. So we know that the two characters in this story are not competitive in any sense. One is the boss and one is the employee. So also another good technique is to cross things out, edit things as much as you can. So we know B is definitely not the answer. C. A young man regrets privately a choice that he defends publicly. So this man William, he is actually just talking to himself. He's not really in the beginning. Maybe he says, "Oh, nobody likes to acknowledge it or regret what they've done." He never really says he regrets it though. So I'm gonna cross out C as well because I don't think that's the answer. And D. A new employee experiences optimism, then frustration, and finally despair. First of all, he never really experiences optimism in any sense. He's always kind of just like, I'm gonna grind through this, I'm gonna grudge through this. There's not really any optimism, and no transition between optimism, frustration, and finally despair in any sense. So I'll cross out D. So by process of elimination, the answer should be A, and it is A. And if you read the question for the answer for A character describes his dislike for his new job and considers the reason why. In the beginning, you can see, oh, he's copying and translating business letters. He finds it irksome. So why does he dislike it? He goes into why he hates Edward Crimsworth, or why Edward Crimsworth hates him, and it's kind of beef he has with his boss, and he goes into that. And so the answer is A. Question 2. The main purpose of the opening sentence of the passage is to. So let's go back to the opening sentence. No man likes to acknowledge that he has made a mistake in the choice of his profession, and every man worthy of the name will row long against the wind and tide before he allows it to cry out, I am baffled, and submits to be floated passively back to land. That's a long intro sentence. So what does he mean by that? So let's read A. A. Establish a narrative perspective on a controversy. So is there any sort of perspective or controversy? Is there any controversy? Not really. So I'm just going to cross out A because I don't think it's even relevant. B. Provide context useful in understanding the narrative's emotional states. That could be possible, so I'll just leave it for now. C. Offer a symbolic representation of Edward Crimsworth's plight. This is just, it just doesn't even really, he's not really describing Edward Crimsworth as, he's not trying to represent him in any light. He just kind of talked about him. So I'm going to cross out C as well. And D. Contrast the narrator's good intentions with his malicious conduct. The narrator, in any sense of what the passage, isn't being malicious. So let's just cross out D as well. And from another process of elimination, we find that B is the answer. And yes, it is the emotional state that he's kind of conflicted, why he's working at this job, why he dislikes his job. He's kind of conflicted, and that's his emotional state, and it gives context. From the first sentence, oh, he's confused, he's conflicted, rowing against the wind, kind of stormy, kind of that kind of sense. So as you can already see, process of elimination, especially in reading passages, is extremely useful, and even across the SAT, it's just a very good tactic. Let's go into the third and fourth question. Hold on. Okay, during the narrator's first paragraph, the narrator's focus shifts from A, recollection of past confidence to acknowledgement of present self-doubt, B, reflection of his expectations of life as a tradesman to his desire for another job, C, generalization about job dissatisfaction to a specific own situation, and D, evaluation of factors making him to identify alternatives. Let's just go through these again. Recollection of past confidence to acknowledgement of present self-doubt. He's not doubting himself in any way, so let's cross that out. B, reflection on the expectations of life as a tradesman, desire for another job. He never ever says he's desiring another job. He just says maybe he dislikes his own job and the reasons for it. D, the evaluation of factors make him unhappy to identification of alternatives. Well, he's never really identified alternatives in any sense, so let's cross it out. And the answer, yes, is C. He gives a generalization during the first paragraph. Oh, he doesn't like his job. And then he transitions to specifics of his own situation. Okay, question 4. The references to shade and darkness at the end of the first paragraph mainly have which effect? So let's go to the end of the first paragraph. Right here at line right after 30. So enter shade daily, and in other words, darkness. So human darkness. So these words, what do these words kind of create? They kind of like shade and darkness. They kind of create like an edgy mood, a moody kind of feeling. So which one of these four kind of shows moodiness? So A is possibility. It actually is the correct answer. Dismay. Sinister thoughts, he's not really plotting something, so sinister would not be the word I'll be using. Fear of confinement. Potentially shade and darkness could be in a jail cell, but that's not what he's trying to go for. He's just kind of angry, he's kind of dismayed at what his job is. And D, longing for rest. From the context, that's not the right answer. He's not tired or anything. He's just dismayed, so to speak. On to the fifth question. The passage that Edward Crimsworth behavior was mainly caused by his impatience with the narrator's high spirits, scorn of the narrator's humble background, indignation at the narrator's rash actions, and jealousy of the narrator's apparent superiority. So, is Edward Crimsworth why is Edward Crimsworth angry or disliking the narrator, William? Is the narrator have high spirits? Not really. So let's cross that out. Is there scorn of the narrator's humble background? That could be implied, but we're not going to assume anything. We take the text at face value, so we don't know. So let's just cross out. This is a Southern accent, and Southern accent might be associated with a lower background, humble background, but we're not going to assume that. Indignation of the narrator's rash actions. The narrator doesn't do anything rash, so let's just take that right out. D, jealousy of the narrator's apparent superiority. That's definitely a possibility, and it is the correct answer. As we can see from down here, he's envious that he's a successful tradesman, and how he has suspected that I kept the padlock of silence on mental wealth, and he was no sir. So Edward Crimsworth obviously thinks that the narrator is smarter than him, which makes him jealous and makes him treat him like badly. Question 6. The passage indicates that when the narrator began working for Edward Crimsworth, he viewed Crimsworth as a harmless rival, sympathetic ally, receptive judge, and demanding mentor. So Edward Crimsworth is his boss in a sense, but is he a rival? I want to say he's a rival because if he's a boss, you're not a rival. Ally? Potentially. It seemed like they were friendly from when he used to call him brother, which was down here somewhere, I believe. I long cease to regard Mr. Crimsworth as my brother. That's something I underline. So brother is usually a friendly term. So allies, perceptive judge, not really. And demanding mentor, he was not his mentor or anything. So I wouldn't say a boss is not really a mentor. So not really, especially in a print shop. So the correct answer is B, a sympathetic ally, because he says brother, and that's when you call someone a brother or a bro, brothers in arms. That's usually a really friendly term. Go to question 7. Which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? Oh, perfect. So just as I showed you, I already highlighted this little area, I underlined it, and now I know exactly where it is. So I thought that maybe sympathetic ally was maybe, brotherly. So perfect. Line 61 to 62, I had a blank brother. And that is actually the best one that fits, and it is the answer. So we'll stick with it. So this is why maybe highlighting, underlining, finding why your answer makes sense can help you on later, because the SAT loves tying questions together and making them, connected. So it's actually C. At the end of the second paragraph, the comparisons of abstract qualities to a lynx and a snake mainly have the effect of A, contrasting two hypothetical courses of action, B, conveying a ferocity of a resolution, C, suggesting the likelihood of an altercation, and D, illustrating the nature of an adversarial relationship. Lynx and snake, this sort of just like, uh, you know, watching each other, kind of hunting each other in a way. So D, there's an adversarial nature. They're kind of watching each other, kind of like hawkishly, and that's how it. There's no actual action, so the actual other three will not be really relevant. Questions 9 and 10. The passage indicates that after a long day of work, the narrator sometimes found his living quarters to be treacherous, dreary, predictable, intolerable. Well, let's go to the end. After a long day, he found his lodgings. There's no cheering red gleam. It seems like there's no fire, so it's kind of dreary, kind of sad. So it's not it's not dangerous or treacherous. It's not predictable, and he doesn't really say it's predictable in any sense. Intolerable, but dreary is definitely something he describes as no cheering red gleam, no cheering, nothing positive. And just like earlier with the earlier question, which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? I walked gleam. We already highlighted that out as well, so boom, right there.